Hello, friends, and welcome back to Heartscapes, where we practice Reiki at the intersection of our self-reflection, the spiritual origins of this practice, and social action. Welcome back. My name is Michaela. You may know, if you've been tracking our channel for the last few days, that we're in the middle of a 21-day shared practice where we're combining Reiki with poetry and reflection and seeing what kinds of intuitive insights come out of that combination. I'm really excited that folks have been joining us for these practices. And today I'm welcoming my really good friend, Megan Morgan, to join me. Welcome, Megan.
Hello, Michaela. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on here. I love what you're doing, and it's exciting to be here.
Awesome. Well, Megan is an author, a yoga teacher, and a podcaster. And she and I have known each other for many years through our affiliation with the organization Shakti Rising. And through all of those connections, we've gotten to do some pretty magical things together over the years. And I really love that lately we've been able to interact around the creative practices that you and I are both involved in. So I've been able to be a guest on her podcast, My Yoga Audio, which I will link down below. And her book, The End of Me, was a really, really beautiful and impactful read for me. Is just absolutely gorgeous. And I got so caught up in that story. So that will also be linked down below. I really strongly suggest folks check it out. Today, however, she's going to be reading from a different source. I invited her to choose a poem that she wanted to share with us that would interact with our meditative practice in a way that felt just really alive for her in this moment. So Megan, would you just tell us about what you chose and what we'll be exploring today?
For sure. So I wanted to introduce everyone to it's a long poem in a chat book called I Love Myself Golden. And it's by a friend of mine named Jessie Bliss. And it's illustrated by an artist named Alfie Numeric. And these are both two women that are down in the Southern California region of the state. And I met Jessie probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, when she taught a poetry creative writing workshop up here in Sacramento. And we made a strong connection. And she only releases these books when she gets them printed, and they're really simply bound. They were originally created for women who are incarcerated, so that they could keep them on their person at all times by sliding it into a bra strap or a t-shirt, rather than a hardback book, so that it wasn't contraband. And she's kept that as the form of production going forward to stay true to the roots of the original intent. But this writing in this book is meant for all women. And given that it's also Women's History Month, that was on my mind today, and just thinking about the message needing to be shared, and the power behind the words. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, because it's more of an essay, I would say, than it is a single poem, but 3 different excerpts from the beginning, middle, and end of the writing.
That sounds perfect. I love the synchronicities of that. And as I was saying, as we were chatting earlier, I love that you're bringing us something that we really can't engage with any other way, unless we happen to be lucky enough to be at one of her workshops. And so it just feels really special to get to share this writing and this work with the folks watching. All right. So as we have been doing and will continue to do, we're going to guide you, our watchers, into a guided meditation practice that comes from the origins of the system of Reiki, from its Japanese origins. If you want to know a little bit more about this practice, my video from yesterday will be talks a lot more about the purpose and the intention behind this practice. So you can check that out. But for today, we're just going to roll right into it. All right. So Megan, for you and for me and for those watching, I'm just going to invite us to settle ourselves in for some practice. And for this practice, we really pay attention to the combination of our physical posture, the posture of our breath, and the posture of our mind, with the intention of integrating these 3 postures into this practice. And so the posture of our body is one that is supported by the firmness of the seat or the ground that we're standing or sitting on, the structure of our body, and allowing those two structures to hold us upright in an easeful way so that the muscles of our body can be soft, in particular, the muscles of the belly. So I'm just going to invite everyone to take a moment to settle into a position that feels supported and easeful, and to invite your belly to relax as much as it can in this time. We often hold the muscles of our belly tight, a protective gesture. And so it can take a few rounds of breath, a few moments to invite looseness here so that the breath can move easily into the body, expanding the body so that we take up more space in our practice. And as we gently relax our body with the breath, we'll invite the breath to come into posture for practice. The posture of our breath is one of easeful flow in and out of the body. And with the softness of our belly, inviting the breath to come in and down and low in the body. Letting our bellies fill with the breath as we inhale and gently release on the exhale. It's taking a few rounds of breath to invite the breath to move lower in the body without efforting or forcing it to do so. And as we do, we'll invite our mind to come in to posture for practice, resting our attention on the sensation of the breath as it moves in and down, focusing our mind on the movement of the breath and letting the breath draw our attention down into our low belly. And we're going to practice resting our attention, focusing our mind on the space 2 inches below the belly button and deep into the center of the body. The energy center in our low belly, known as the hara in Japanese. Let's just take a few breaths to practice focusing our attention here. And as your breath draws your attention in and down, and as you rest your focus in your low belly, I invite you to sense or imagine that you find here a spark of light, shining brightly from the center of your low belly, the center of your hara. This spark of light, your connection to the web of life, the spark of the universe that is shining as you in this time. And as you continue to breathe, on your next inhale, begin to imagine that the spark of light grows brighter and begins to expand in all directions. And as you exhale, it continues to expand in all directions, filling you and surrounding you. And with each breath, I invite you to imagine this. Letting your inhale draw your attention to your low belly, envisioning this spark of light, imagining it growing brighter, expanding in all directions as you exhale to fill you, to surround you, to connect you with the life all around, to continue expanding as far as you like. We'll just spend a couple of breaths settling into this pattern. Perhaps your light expands so far out on your exhale that it touches mine, and we notice that we are interconnected with each other. And as you continue to breathe in this way, I invite you to take in the words of this poem, breathing them in and down, drawing them into your center, letting them expand to fill you and surround you. As Megan shares this poem with us.
You are being watched over, loved and protected by the universe, even when it doesn't seem like it. When you make positive choices for yourself, if the people in your life don't support or recognize it, the loving universe sees you and is smiling upon you in every living thing you see. In the darkest of times, your heart is glowing bright and connected to all the other hearts around the world. You are important. You are a gift. You are loved. There is always a way and a special place in the world just for you. Your voice is like that of no other, and your mind and soul is unique. Only you can bring what you bring. You can start over at any single moment that you choose. Move forward, knowing you are guided, loved, protected, and blessed. No one and nothing can stop your light from shining. You hold the whole world within you. You are a queen. You are the light. Generations of women before you, ancestors, are watching over you and protecting you at all times. They are there for you to communicate with. You are a magic woman, and you can take any bad and make it into a good. You are capable of achieving anything and everything your heart desires. When you are in a place you feel you don't belong, or you are not being treated the way you know you deserve to be, you turn to your heart and say, I love myself golden.
Just letting those words settle into you as you continue to breathe in this way. Let's stay in this for a few moments together. Continuing to breathe in and down, connecting with the light at your center, and allowing it to expand in all directions, shining out to fill you and surround you, to connect you with the life that's all around. And as we receive this poem again from Megan, I invite you to notice which words or phrases or images stand out for you today, have a message for you today, as we take in this poem again.
You are being watched over, loved and protected by the universe, even when it doesn't seem like it. When you make positive choices for yourself, if the people in your life don't support or recognize it, the loving universe sees you and is smiling upon you in every living thing you see. In the darkest of times, your heart is glowing, bright, and connected to all the other hearts around the world. You are important. You are a gift. You are loved. There is always a way and a special place in the world just for you. Your voice is like that of no other, and your mind and soul is unique. Only you can bring what you bring. You can start over at any single moment that you choose. Move forward knowing that you are guided, loved, protected, and blessed. No one and nothing can stop your light from shining. You hold the whole world within you. You are a queen. You are the light. Generations of women before you, ancestors, are watching over you and protecting you at all times. They are there for you to communicate with. You are a magic woman, and you can take any bad and make it into a good. You are capable of achieving anything and everything your heart desires. When you are in a place you feel you don't belong, or you are not being treated the way you know you deserve to be, you turn to your heart and say, I love myself, Golden.
Let's just sit in the energy of those words for 5 more breaths together. And then as you feel ready, I invite you to give yourself a gesture of completion as we come back into this virtual circle together. Welcome back. Oh, thank you for that, Megan. It was so nourishing to hear that in that meditative space. And it was such a treat to get to receive the poem instead of reading the poem.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things that really stood out to me. because they're so explicitly tied to the beliefs and concepts inside of the system of Reiki. The universe smiling on us, through the smiles of all of the life around us, right? This idea that we're interconnected to all life is central to the origins of Reiki. Nothing can stop you from shining your light, right? Like that's literally the practice that we were just in, right? Connecting with that light that's at our center and remembering that it's shining. It's not that this practice like causes it to shine. It helps us remember that it's always shining. And then just the heart's connected across the world. So I love that the reading that you chose, like not only is beautiful and topically important at this time, but just so aligned with the ideas that we work with here on this channel. So
in the virtual space, people watching this on a video, just to know and feel that we are actually all connected, and especially so when we forget, because that's the hardest time, when you're in a dark place, it can be so hard to remember those connections. So I really truly I believe there'll be somebody out there that hears this today and is just like, that is what I needed to hear and connect with it. There's something in that speaks to them and to all of us, that we might not feel that tether, our connection to other people, 24 hours a day, but there's a way for us to get back to it through this practice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a theme that I've been working with personally and with others in my work, certainly very strongly throughout this, pandemic time when isolation and, quarantine and being separate from each other has been so prominent. And, really exploring this idea of what does it mean to be alone but not lonely, right? What does it mean to like feel connected and nourished and a part of a wider network of life, even when circumstances are preventing us from being together, or because it's a right time for us to be physically alone. It's such a different sensation to be alone and lonely versus alone and knowing that you're not alone, right? And what becomes possible when we're in a space like that. And I just love that this practice and this particular piece of writing just really brings that forward. So yeah, I join you in believing that that's going to be meaningful to somebody watching. What was it like for you to read that piece that you have this connection to, like in this particular moment?
Revisiting it after so long, like it's interesting. For so long, it's been part of knowing the origins of the project for an incarcerated population. And it still serves that purpose, but really now when I'm reading it, it's so appropriate to how we all are inside ourselves.
Yeah.
And so I'm a Reiki practitioner too, not to the same level that you are. My focus is more on yoga, but when I work with people one-on-one, and it's been virtual for a long time, I'm just starting to ease back to the in-person sessions again. And that's what they've all said. They're like, oh, you can do distance Reiki and that helps too, but they feel so relieved to be in contact with me again when I can actually put hands on them and reinforce that feeling. So like you said, the feeling of being alone versus feeling lonely really makes a difference for some people. So reading this now, it has a totally different read, I guess that's the word I want to use, than it did originally. It made me really sad, and I was thinking about other people and how it applied to them. Now reading this, I'm like, oh, I can apply this to me. I can apply this to my clients. I can apply this to this session, to the world, to you. Like I see everybody in it, whereas before it was more isolated. It's expanded. The meaning of this book and that writing has expanded to include everyone. It's not just locked in a jail cell, or if it is, it's like the cell of our own making. And how do we get out of that through this practice?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely some universal human experiences reflected in that piece of writing, and both in terms of human, ways in which we can feel imprisoned, and also ways in which we can feel free and expansive and nourished. So I love that. I really appreciate your choice in bringing that, your choice to being here with us in this series. For those watching at home, We really value your interaction, your input. If there was something that really stood out to you from this reading, we'd love for you to share that in the comments. We're collecting those pieces of input to do possibly something special on our final day, which will be the spring equinox on March 21st of 2022. And if you would like to join me, like Megan has, in one of these sessions, please do reach out to me sometime before the 21st. I'd love to have you on, share a favorite poem, something you've written, something you've read that has meaning for you. And until that time, no matter what you're doing for the rest of your day, as you move into this evening, may you be deeply provisioned for the journey. Thank you so much for joining us. We will catch you next time. We love you. Bye-bye.